To quote my guy, Brent Musburger, you are looking live at the first all-blue preview for this 2024 and then 2025 UK football and basketball season and things in between. And welcome, Brian Milam and Dave Baker.
You know, since you brought up Brent Musburger,
yes.
It's a big week for him because, as of course you know now, he works for this network called VSiN, which is sports betting. And so when he was doing games, oftentimes he would say, you may not think that touchdown matters, but it matters to a lot of people. And as part of legalized wagering, we got word from the SEC yesterday that now people that engage in that activity are going to get the physical status of players just like the NFL.
When I was younger in TV and you see a line score or a line on the game, hey, so-and-so's minus 12.5.
Yes.
That half will get you
12.5 point favorite. Yes, that's it.
And I always wondered, man, these guys, you know, the wise guys out in the desert, they're always so close with this. Case in point, Missouri played Murray State.
Oh, yeah.
The line was 50.5. With a minute to go, it's 48-0. And Missouri and Murray, they're at the line of scrimmage, and there's a false start offsides at the same time. Well, if it's a first down, game's over because they can just take a knee.
Take a knee.
The officials get together, and I mean, the conspiracy theorists as I get older is like, boys, the line's 50.5. If you kick a field goal, we'll call illegal procedure. Moves them back. Kick a field goal, they win 51-0.
Greg Schiano at Rutgers is getting a lot of heat today. Ben Beddos over there can tell us. I think the line was like 44 or something, and they were up like 41-7.
Just say it.
Same deal in the last minute or so, and they punch one in to cover. Now, I would say covering the spread probably affects more people in New Jersey than maybe anywhere but Nevada.
Brooklyn Ben Beddos over here. He's in the borough.
Yes, he is.
But the reason we mention that is because this initiative that you're talking about, these new sets of rules set forth by the SEC, you must, as a coach, give your depth chart, give your guys who are in or out because of injury 3 days before the game.
And then you've got to update them each day.
Yeah, and you have to update. If you don't, you get hit with a $25,000 fine, maybe up to $100,000. And the more that I think about this, again, as the older, hopefully more mature, sometimes not, but wiser brain says, now why would we do that? And I start thinking with gambling in athletics, college athletics, certainly with the NFL, with so many entities, there's a lot of money on the line.
There's no question.
And there's a part of me that just thinks, well, you know, how much does that affect that situation? Something that was taboo for so long.
Yes, now out front.
As easy as water out of the faucet.
And the interesting thing is it's interesting to hear Mark Stoops talk about this. Because yesterday he said he was all in favor of it because he felt it would give teams less of a chance, they'd have to be upfront with what their physical condition was.
Right.
Well, we love Stoops, but he's the king of saying he's out. And he could be out for the entire season, but he's not going to say it. You know, so on the one hand, you will know because you've got to list him as active, doubtful, probable, or out.
Yeah. So there's a lot of moving parts with this. And Rich Brooks, you know, he was in the NFL.
Yes, he was.
With the St. Louis Rams. And if you remember, you would remember this.
At the start of
every presser after the game, he would give an injury update. Monday, that was the first thing he'd say.
He did.
Okay, Randall Cobb has a tweaked hamstring. He's doubtful for this week. Mike Hartline, quarterback, he injured his elbow late in the game. I mean, he would go through it. Well, coaches, and the son of a coach.
Yes.
I don't want to give anybody information about my ball club, but it also works on the other side as well.
That's right. That's
if you're playing Tennessee and here comes Alvin Harper as a receiver, I need to know if he's going to be on the field or not, you know?
You know, Rich Brooks is done with that now. He and Karen are over in Scotland, and they posted a picture today on the Swilcan Bridge at legendary St. Andrews.
He's playing a lot of golf,
yes,
without the L.
Golf and fishing, that's right.
Without the L. Well, let's talk about the Cats. It is an all-blue preview, and the Cats are favored by 28 points or so.
4 touchdowns for those of you scoring at home.
Over the Golden Eagles of Southern Mississippi. A lot of movement in the offseason for the Wildcats with coaching positions, obviously players. And let's just jump right into the first guy, who is always the most important person, ladies and gentlemen. It's always the quarterback, Brock Vandegrift. What do you think? Because I'm just going to keep reserved because everybody jumped on the Devin Leary bandwagon a year ago that he was going to be the greatest thing, and he was serviceable. So I'm just going to reserve. I'm going to reserve judgment until obviously we get
here's the thing that you don't. Here's the thing that you don't know, B. I think I don't know how many straight years it's been. But, I mean, even before the inception of the transfer portal, out of necessity, Kentucky went through this period of time where it seemed like every year they got a new quarterback and a new coordinator with a few exceptions. And credit Mark Stoops and the people he's gone to, they've made it work. But, you know, if you're somebody that's a worst-case scenario guy like me sometimes, you just wonder how many times you can go to the well. Like, when was the last time that Kentucky had the same starting quarterback in 2 straight years?
Well, you have to go back Terry Wilson, I guess.
Right?
Yeah, touchdown Terry.
I mean, that's not like a couple of days ago.
Well, think about this when we talk about the quarterbacks, and Brock has a good arm. He's the son of a defensive coordinator.
Yep.
So he ought to be able to pick apart some defenses,
He better.
you would think. But think about this also. Kentucky's 4 quarterbacks are all brand new.
Uh-huh.
Bo Allen is making his triumphant return to Lexington. But he is, for 2024, he's brand new.
Part 2.
All 4 quarterbacks with Cutter Boley, Gavin Wimsatt, the young man you saw wearing the number 2 jersey, who transferred in from Rutgers. Cutter Boley was at LCA, and Bo Allen, he's kind of been on a journey since he left UK a couple of years ago. But you also have a brand new coordinator with Bush Hamdan. There's just a lot, and I know the first week of the season is always filled with question marks, whether it be weather, injuries, play style, play calling. What have these kids got? What do these kids don't? I mean, that's one reason why I love opening day, because there are 1,000 question marks and only half get answered after game 1, and then you get more for game 2.
I think the one thing that is really going to help Kentucky this year, and I think it'll help a lot of teams, is the fact that they have gone to the NFL deal where they have got the communication between the coordinator and the head coach in the helmet. I think that's not only going to help guys get the play call in more cleanly and avoid any sort of mix-up on the sidelines. I think it's going to help the speed of the game for people that want to go quicker. They'll be able to go quicker because of this. So I think that's going to help them, but I think all your other points are absolutely valid.
Another guy that we will discuss, because he is the focal point of just about everybody, with Kentucky not having a solid running back yet. Chip Trainum, another transfer from Ohio State. He broke a bone in his hand, broke his hand a couple of weeks ago. He will miss game 1. We don't know if he will miss game 2 against South Carolina. So then you go to the receivers. There is Dane Key, awesome young man. I love talking to him. He's got very good hands. He's more of that possession receiver. He's not going to break away the way Barryon Brown was.
Right.
Barryon Brown is in the mold of a Derek Abney. He's in the mold of a Randall Cobb. He is in the mold of that guy who can bust it open in one step.
Game breaker.
And, he's got a lot of responsibility on his shoulders this year.
He does. He can certainly stretch the defense. He's worked hard on catching the ball as well. I mean, he was dynamic on kick returns. But because of what he's already done, opposing defenses are going to have to shade him so much that it's going to open things up for some of the other guys in that receiving room.
And Dane Key is the other receiver, the main receiver. You got Ja'Cory Macklin, who's coming in here. And the tight end room is going to be, I love when the tight ends get into the offensive playbook as a catching offensive lineman, not just a blocking. And I mentioned it earlier this week, Howard Schnellenberger, who played at Flagey High School in Louisville, came to UK But I think certain people of a certain age only remember him as the U of L head football coach.
Sure.
And did not know he was an All-American in 1955 and played and coached with Bear Bryant and all of that stuff. But I love when the tight ends get their hands on the football. Jordan Dingle, Josh Caddis, they are the main guys. Willie Rodriguez, this kid has the potential. He already has the size. He's got the intelligence. And if this young man out of Covington Catholic can start putting it together, I think you're looking at one of those old-fashioned John Mackey type tight ends, Mike Ditka, who can blow you up at the line. And then it could also, throughout the season, may have, who knows, 70 catches or so.
Yep.
One of those guys eventually.
I think the Trainum situation that you mentioned earlier is critical as well. Who just got cut from the NFL roster, who was involved? Chris Rodriguez. I couldn't remember. When Chris Rodriguez was out for that period of time, that Kentucky offense just suffered that year. And Trainum is number one for a reason. I don't think I heard anybody talk about it being a close race. That doesn't mean there's not depth there.
Yeah.
But if they don't get him back quickly, or they don't find somebody that can get those tough yards, that can pop one open up the middle after the initial hit, that's going to put even more pressure on Vandegrift and those receivers.
And Bush Hamden coming from Boise State. When you think of Boise State, if Cal could have basketball bennies, can we have football Frankies or football?
I guess we could.
Something like that. Sure. For those of you who study the blue turf of Boise, they have been known to be a wide open offense. They throw it, they chuck it around all over the place. And, obviously Brock Vandegrift, I think the best way to ease some nerves, do what Bill Walsh of the 49ers used to do, Jimmy Johnson with Troy Aikman, that little short passing game. Get you into the rhythm of everything.
I thought you were going to say script the first 25 or something, which they may do.
Well, Mike Holmgren did that with the Packers and all that. And they do. I'm sure there is a script of some sort. I've always wondered how you script the first 25 plays, no matter what.
Right.
Oh, you just got a 20-yard loss on a bad snap, or we're going to run the ball for 2 yards.
See, that's kind of old school because everybody puts such a premium on snaps now. And one thing that's going to be interesting is Hamden is going to be up in the press box. I think you'll see more and more coordinators doing that now because of this helmet communication that they've got. But the thing that's going to happen with that is he's a guy that has probably, he's probably, to use an automobile term, he's probably never had a governor put on him before, right?
Yeah.
But Mark Stoops, while he likes those explosive plays, he understands and celebrates using the clock and keeping his defense off the field. So I think as these two get into game action for the first time, it's going to be interesting to see how much he lets Bush go instead of saying whoa.
If you're rounding third, go and whoa. Who knows?
You don't want to confuse the two.
That's right. But I think it's going to be interesting for the running back perspective because you don't have Chip Trainum, who was the guy coming in, Demi Sumo Karngbe.
Easy for you to say.
Tom Leach says it much better than I do. He is a senior, and I think he is going to be, obviously, it's going to be running back by committee for this first week, maybe for the first 2 weeks. I don't know.
Yep.
Let's switch to the other side of the field, other side of the football real quick, because Deion Walker, the largest mammal in Kroger Field tomorrow, he is a huge individual, and I think this is a guy who has a chance. I'm not going to say the name I was about to, but as a defensive lineman, he has the chance to be a rare breed, the kind we haven't seen maybe in 4 decades or so, when Art Still and guys were almost 5 decades, where people were chucking different position, but has that impact.
And physically different than Still. I was kind of thinking about it, and I'm not saying he's going to be this guy either, because he's certainly not as big. But his combination of size and quickness kind of makes me think back to like a Warren Sapp maybe.
Okay.
I mean, Sapp's much bigger, but you saw the first thing that he was doing in this video that you pulled.
He tracks down people.
And it's illustrative too. The way he uses his hands.
Yeah.
I mean, he can separate from a blocker and then use that speed. If he needs to bull rush, he can.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he does these swim moves. I mean, all anybody on the offensive line sees is hands and arms and a big man coming at him, and all they can do is, a lot of the time, is what my coach used to call a lookout block, where all you could do is just turn around and say, look out.
But, you know, I think of Dwayne Robertson 20 years
Similar?
ago.
Yes.
Smaller in
He
height.
he did not have the pole package, yes.
But was just bull strong.
Yes, sir.
I mean,
yes, sir.
fourth overall pick, I believe, of the 03 draft, if memory serves, with the Jets. But I think Dion, he has this for someone so big. 6'6", 350. I think they.
I mean, and this ain't fudging either.
No.
I mean,
you look up to him doing an interview, and there's few football players I have ever looked up to the point that I need to position their head to block out the sun. I mean, think about it. I'm trying to do an interview so the sun's not blinding me.
And one of the nicest young men you'll ever
And that's what
meet.
I was getting to. He is a teddy bear.
Oh, my gosh. What a nice young man.
But on that field, he is about to rip off your helmet.
Yes, he is.
Pick you up, pat you on the tail, and say, guess what? In about 25 seconds, I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to do it again.
Stay down. Stay down if you know what's good for you.
Real quick, put you on the spot.
Yes.
Give me a score tomorrow.
I'll go 35-7.
Okay, I was going to go 38-13.
There you go.
So we're in the
same
ballpark.
Yep.
But
I think a lot of it has to do with the weather, too.
that's the key.
You know,
the second half, according to our weather.
What about it, Beddoes?
Wake him up.
Come on, Beddoes.
I'd say it's a good thing that kickoff's going to be at 7:45 and not like 3:30. Of course, there's going to be a chance for storms, but greater chance earlier.
Oh, so you think we're
So
good
you
at
think
kickoff?
we're going to be?
I wouldn't say 100% out of the woods, but I'd say we're better off having a game at 7:45 than like a 3:30 kick.
Ben Beddoes from the
all right.
WKYT Hedge First Weather Center.
With that political answer.
I mean, right?
It's not 100% here.
I told you guys it was going to rain.
Yesterday, 3 weeks ago. But it's Kentucky and Southern Miss from Kroger Field. It is a 7:45 start. We also have Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock on WKYT.
Yes, don't want to miss this.
Have a half-hour preview of the Cats leading up to the season opener. And some one-on-one interviews Lindsey Goff has done with a few of the Wildcats from a couple of weeks ago. That will be fun. It'll lead us up to kickoff, and we'll start this crazy campaign all over again. And can't wait for it. There is something special about,
There
and
is.
I don't care what the sport is, about opening day.
Yeah, it is. And on WKYT for your afternoon, when you get over there and you're tailgating, right after that show, it's the kickoff of the Big Ten here on CBS. And Ohio State, who's the huge favorite to win the national championship, taking on the Zippity Doodahs of Akron, who played here at UK last year.
Jerry Faust and the Akron Zips are coming through. Stop it. Could you imagine?
Hey! That's the way Faust used to talk. Hey!
We're going to have a lot of fun this year with football. There are so many rule changes. There's going to be a 2-minute warning now, but they're not calling it a warning. They're calling it the timeout at 2 minutes. They're calling it the 2-minute timeout. So the more you watch college football, and we've seen it over the last, 2.5, 3 decades, probably since the late 80s when Jimmy Johnson was at the University of Miami. We've seen college football resemble and mirror the NFL in a lot of ways. Now you've got the microphones in the helmet so the coordinators and the coaches can talk to the quarterback. You've got now the 2-minute warning. So you've got, you have the ball when a player catches the ball, they run out of bounds, the clock keeps rolling. Where in the past in college football, it would stop. So, and there was one thing great about growing up watching college football. It looked different than the NFL.
Oh.
Now the college and the NFL games,
Everybody running a
one
wishbone
and
and everything. The other thing to keep in mind as well that I think is going to have a huge impact on individual games, but on overall standings and everything, is all this conference realignment.
Oh, my gosh.
Because there's no way, even if you, and I don't pretend to be no football smart guy. That's good English right there, isn't it? But I mean, you've got these normal rhythms in a season.
Yep.
You know Kentucky is going to play this team after a big game the week before, and they traditionally have had problems. But now you come and you open this thing up, and then you go back-to-back South Carolina and Georgia.
Yeah.
And South Carolina is a team that has traditionally, ever since whatchamacallit has gotten there, Little Beamer has given them, Shane has given them trouble. So I think if you're one of those people that are out there listening to the injury report, I think there are going to be a lot more X factors this year than there have been in a long time.
Oh, you can even go back to when Lou Holtz took over South Carolina, and then when Spurrier was there. The Cats in Carolina almost always have close football games. Lou Holtz beat the Cats 16-12 back to the old Jared Lorenzen, Derek Smith days.
Yeah.
And then you had the tipped interception, UK winning, I think, 45-38, whatever it was.
What was
beating Spurrier for the first time.
I can't remember whether Spurrier gave the line at South Carolina or Florida.
It was Florida. I know where you're going with
Go ahead. You do the honors.
No, because in case
Boy,
I'm
y'all
wrong.
got a great punter.
That was Glenn Pakalak he was talking about.
Who had some good years with the Packers.
Glenn Pakalak was the most physically put
Oh,
together
boy, he was a
punter
beast.
in the history of special teams.
He would whoop Pat McAfee.
Todd Sauerbrunn kicked at West Virginia.
Wow.
When the punter gets hit with, I believe, don't hold me to this, but with steroid, his thighs were the size of this stage. And he's hitting 60-yard bombs and 70-yard bombs, and then Ray Guy's over here just smoking a heater, going, "I did it on nothing," you know.
He weighed about 120 pounds.
The rubber band man of kickers.
Looked like he was a bartender when he wasn't booting footballs.
Set him up, Joe. Got a little story. I think you ought to know, folks.
Hey, could you turn that TV?
We are good. Yeah, turn it over to KYT. Dang it. We're going to get out of here and get back to work, but we are off and running with our All Blue preview. High school football tonight. You never know and I hope you enjoy the comedic relief, because it is. You never know what you're going to get on this show.
Because we don't know.
Two guys
We don't
who
know.
just do it on the fly.
It's 7 or 8 o'clock tonight to kick off on the CW, by the way, the high school game.
We've got GRC in Belfry.
in the
That's
Pike County
gonna be allegedly 8:30.
8:30
So
kick.
we will see. It's the second game of the Pike County Bowl. And GRC went to Belfry last year and beat the Pirates. The most points Belfry has ever given up in the first or second week of the season last year.
Think they'll remember that?
I think somebody
I think they will.
I know
I think they
did.
will.
But we've got a lot of football for you tonight on Game Time, starting about 11:15. And then again, the special at 1 o'clock tomorrow, WKYT. It's an all-blue preview, getting you ready for the Cats and the Golden Eagles. And then we will see you at Kroger Field tomorrow. And we'll do it 7 more times after tomorrow. For Dave Baker, I'm Brian Milam. Thanks for watching. And we'll do it all again next Friday. See ya.